Derek, how do you pronounce this word? Are you a s or a sh?
It's a good question. Let me think about it. Suggestion.
You use
I
this.
think I do both. I don't know.
You're a bit of a mix.
Yeah, it depends on how I'm feeling.
Depends on the day.
Hi everybody, welcome back to English for Professionals, or welcome if you're new to the channel. In this lesson I have a very special guest. Together we're going to help you with your business English pronunciation skills. We have 37 business English words that our learners often find difficult to pronounce. And make sure you wait until the end, then we'll show you some words that our learners always mispronounce. And now let's meet our special guest. Drumroll please. It's the lovely Emma from Pronunciation with Emma. Hi Emma, how's it going?
Hello, thank you so much for inviting me. I'm very excited to be here today.
Great, I'm excited to have you here. Thanks a lot for joining me. Maybe you can tell us a little bit about your channel.
Of course. So my name is Emma. My channel is very creatively named Pronunciation with Emma, where I focus on British English pronunciation and listening skills. So if that sounds like your cup of tea, the link to my channel is down below in the description.
Excellent. And when you've finished watching this video, make sure you go over to Emma's channel to watch part 2. Yes, that's right. We've made a second video where we focus on practicing all of the words from this lesson in context with shadowing exercises. And now let's begin with our first words. Over to you, Emma.
So our first word is a tricky one, even for native speakers to pronounce. Make sure you listen carefully and repeat. Entrepreneur. Entrepreneur. The second one. Entrepreneurship. Entrepreneurship. The next one. Entrepreneurial. Entrepreneurial. So notice how that primary stress, the main stress, always falls on that n. Entrepreneur, entrepreneurial, entrepreneurship. It always goes on that n syllable. Do you want to talk about these next ones? Because they are a little bit tricky for some English learners because we can pronounce them with two different ways. How would you pronounce these, Derek?
Yes, definitely. So our fourth word, how I would pronounce it is I usually drop one of the syllables. So I would say dramatically. Mm-hmm. Dramatically.
So with 4 syllables. Dramatically. Dramatically.
Exactly. But when you look at the phonetic spelling, there's actually 5 syllables.
Yes. Yeah. So you can pronounce this in 2 different ways. Stress on the ma. Dramatically. But as this is a bit tricky, especially in rapid speech, we can cut a syllable, and this tends to be what native speakers also do. So you could say it as dramatically with just 4 syllables.
Exactly, and the same goes for our 5th word, gradually. Gradually.
Yes. So this, you can say it with gradually, 3 syllables, gradually, exactly as Derek does, and I say it that way as well. It's a lot easier, but you will see in the dictionary it has 4 syllables, gradually. But in fast speech this is quite tricky, so we tend to cut the syllables, gradually.
Yeah, that's true. So most native speakers will cut the syllables. So you can decide whichever is most comfortable for you. And now let's move on to word number 6. Listen and repeat. Suggest. Suggest. What's the problem with this one? What do you find, Emma? What do your learners find tricky about this word?
So the problem tends to be the stress in this word. A lot of my students tend to put the stress on the first syllable and say suggest, or they try and pronounce that first syllable as an u, so the first vowel is u, suggest. So even though the stress might be right, they're still pronouncing that first vowel as a stronger vowel, when really it should be a schwa, s. So really relaxed, s, suggest.
Suggest. Great. Okay, brilliant. Thanks.
So our next word is one that even I struggle to pronounce. So we have suggestion. Suggestion. So this combination here, this suggestion suggestion can be quite tricky. So you might notice some native speakers, including myself, saying suggestion to make it easier. We assimilate. This is called assimilation in English, where we change a sound to make it easier to transition and pronounce another sound. So you might hear some natives, including me, saying suggestion. So the stress is the same. Suggest, suggestion, or suggestion. Derek, how do you pronounce this word? Are you a s or a sh?
It's a good question. Let me think about it. Suggestion.
You use the
I think I do both. I don't know.
A bit of a mix.
Yeah, it depends on how I'm feeling.
Depends on the day. But yeah, I personally find it quite tricky. So I say suggestion and I assimilate it. So if you find Derek's way a bit trickier, just use my way. Or if you find my way tricky, use Derek's way. You've got two options there. Then our next word has two different ways to pronounce it, depending on whether it's a noun or a verb. So we have increase, stress on the first syllable. Increase. This is the noun. However, if we turn this into a verb, the stress goes on the second syllable. Increase. So, increase. The same goes for our next word, decrease. That's the noun. Decrease. That's the verb.
And our next word is also very tricky. Listen and repeat. Remuneration. So it has that kind of Y sound after the M. Mew. Remuneration. What does it mean? It's another word for talking about the amount of money that you get paid for the work you do. So it's similar to salary. Remuneration. Next up we have management. Some people find this one tricky, but what is it? What makes this one tricky in your experience, Emma?
It tends to be the stress. So a lot of students, they tend to say management. So again, they're adding those stronger vowels and moving the stress.
Right.
Management. So make sure you're doing the stress, like you're moving the stress to management. It actually goes on the first syllable.
That's
management.
It. First syllable, yeah. Okay, great. Next up, we have another really tricky one. Listen and repeat. Authentication. Now, I live and work in a German-speaking country, in Austria, and there's a similar word in German, but it has an F in it. So when German speakers say it, they say it in English, they say authentication, which is wrong. So it should be authentication. Emma, what do your learners, what kind of struggles do they have with this word?
Yeah, my learners tend to have problems with the beginning. So they tend to say authent instead of authent.
Right, yeah.
So make sure you're not pronouncing those first two letters as an ow, but as an or. So the first vowel is an or. It goes the same for words starting with auto.
Yeah.
Like we don't say auto, we say auto. So just watch that you're not pronouncing it with that diphthong, but with an or.
Great. Okay, let's move on.
Number 13, precision. So make sure you get that j. There's vibration here. Precision. The next one, sabbatical. What does this word mean, Derek? Sabbatical.
So a sabbatical is a period of time when an employee is allowed to stop doing their normal work so they can travel or study, usually while they continue to be paid part of their salary.
Our next word, accuracy. A
lot of my learners find the next two particularly difficult. Negotiate. So the stress is on the second syllable. Negotiate. And the noun, negotiation.
So one thing that some learners struggle with is that T-I-O-N ending, and sometimes they want to pronounce it as Tion or Sion, but in this case, negotiation. It's a shin in this word. Negotiation.
That's right, and this one is kind of similar. Association. association. Do people have the same problem with this word, Emma?
Yeah, it tends to just be words that end in T-I-O-N in general. They tend to struggle with it because they get influenced by the spelling and they want to say Tion or Sion.
Tion.
But it's shun. So don't try and pronounce it as an eon, but un. It's just a schwa. Shun. Relax your mouth. Shun.
Great.
Number 19, authorise. So just as we talked about before, at the start of the word, with that AU, we're not going to pronounce it as authorise, but authorise. Mind that TH as well. Make sure your tongue is between your teeth. Authorise. 20, we have agenda. So that G is J. Agenda. How do some of your students mispronounce this word? What difficulties do they have with this word, Derek?
Yeah, so a lot of people in the German-speaking world will pronounce it with a hard G. So they'll say agenda.
Yeah.
Agenda. So it's quite noticeable when you make this kind of mispronunciation. Make sure you're using that J. Agenda.
Exactly, yeah. A lot of my students say agenda. And I think it's a first language influence, so watch out for that you're not saying agenda. I think you'll be understood, but it's not correct, of course. You want to pronounce it correctly to make sure you're definitely being understood. So, agenda.
Absolutely.
The next one, develop. Watch the stress with this one. So we're not going to put the stress on the first one, not develop, which I hear quite a lot. I don't know if you hear that as well, Derek, but I know for sure I hear it. Develop. Make sure as well that you're not saying develop with an op, but it's a schwa again. Develop.
Yeah, that's I often hear it with the stress on the last syllable. I often hear develop.
Ah, interesting. Yeah, develop. I tend to hear it on the first one. So I think it depends on, again, the first language influence.
Yeah, definitely. And it's the same with the noun. Development. So the stress is on the second syllable. Development.
So the stress doesn't change between the two, actually. Development. So it's easy to remember.
Yeah, you just add that meant at the end. Exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
And number 23 is also a tricky one. Competitor. And it's the exact same with the adjective competitive. So the stress is on the second syllable. Competitor and competitive.
Distribution. However, watch it with the next one. Distributor. So the stress changes with these two. Distribution. Distributor. Number 27, there are two different ways to pronounce this. Like we talked about before, we could also cut a syllable in this word. So we have subsidiary. But if you want to cut the syllable to make it a little bit easier, subsidiary.
Yeah, absolutely. I always do that. Like I use the second example with the cut syllable because I find the first one quite difficult myself.
Same.
And what is a subsidiary? Basically, it's a company that's owned by a larger company. Number 28, as always, listen and repeat. Revenue. It's another word for sales. Revenue. A lot of people get the next one wrong. Strategy. So I often hear people say strage. So they kind of forget about that other T. Strategy. And now we're going to look at some of those really tricky ones. The ones that our learners nearly always mispronounce. First one is automate. And we've had a few of these words already today. A lot of people say automate.
31, analysis, analysis, analysis. Now for the verb, analyse, analyse. So now the stress moves. Analysis, analyse.
That's really tricky. Yeah, a lot of people mix that up. I hear a lot of people saying then because of the verb, they say analysis, analysis.
Yes. Yeah, they do. Something to watch out for. And the person is an analyst. So again, the stress is on the first syllable. Analyst, analyst.
Next up, we have encourage. Encourage. Why do people find this one difficult, Emma?
It tends to be that ending. A lot of learners tend to say encourage because they see that A-G-E and they think, oh, it's like age. But because it's a weak syllable, we're not going to pronounce it with that stress. Encourage. We're going to pronounce it more with a weak sound. Encourage. Encourage.
Number 35, we have again a verb and a noun, but this time there's no change in the syllable stress. Archive. Archive. And it's the same for the noun. Archive. What about this one, Emma? What have you heard people mispronounce this one as?
That CH tends to really trip some students up and they tend to say archive. So make sure you're not doing it with a ch, archive, but it's archive, archive.
Yeah,
so mind the vowel and mind the CH. Number 36, we're nearly at the end. Purchase. So mind that stress. Purchase. Now don't try and pronounce that second syllable as chase. It's not purchase, but purchase. Chis. Purchase.
Yeah, that's a big one. A lot of people see chase in that word. Yeah, purchase.
Yeah, so watch that you're not saying purchase, but purchase. And our final one, determine. Determine. How do your students often mispronounce this one, Derek?
What I often hear is the mine at the end and the syllable stress on the... hang on a second.
The first syllable,
determine. That's it, determine. So people really struggle with this one.
Yeah, so watch that you're not moving that stress and you're not saying it as mine, but determine. Determine.
Excellent. So that brings us to the end of this lesson. I hope you found it helpful. Emma, thanks so much for all of your help.
Thank you very much for inviting me, and thank you very much for watching this video as well. If you're now interested in practicing these words in sentences with some more context, then you can go over to my channel for part 2, where me and Derek do some shadowing exercises using today's words. The link for the video will be down below in the description. Enjoy the rest of your week, and we'll see you over on my channel. Bye bye.
Okay.
Okay. Clap test. Clap sync. 3,
Both.
2, 1. We'll do it on the go. 3, 2, 1, go. Oh, is there a delay?
I don't know.
Okay, because you clapped after me.
On both occasions, or what?
Just on that one. So 3, 2, 1, and then I do go, but we clap on the go. So 3, 2, 1, go.
Again.
3, 2, 1, go.
Great. I don't know if I have to conclude my great.
There'll just be random pop-ups of you going, great, great.
Okay.